Okay. Obviously, we've heard the jury's verdict. We respect the judiciary. We respect the trial by jury process, so we're not going to criticize that. We're obviously very disappointed. We obviously respectfully disagree with the jury's verdict. The verdict is inconsistent. You cannot say Jussie is lying and Jussie is not lying for the same exact incidents. So we feel 100% confident that this case will be won on appeal. Unfortunately, that's not the route we wanted, but sometimes that's the route that you have to take to win, especially a case where we remain 100% confident in our client's innocence. From the first day of this case, his case has been prejudged, his case has been tried in the media, and it's unfortunate. This is the United States of America. We live in a constitutional democracy where everyone is presumed innocent. But obviously, if we're being honest, that hasn't been the case. In social media, in the media, he's been tried and convicted before his day in court. But we are confident in our appellate system, we're confident in our Illinois Supreme Court, and we're confident that at the end of the day, what's out there in the news media and in the gossip forums are not going to stand a chance in court. Mr. Smollett said he was attacked. He gave a description of his attackers. And what a lot of people don't know is a witness came to court, and I'm not going to say his name for privacy reasons, and testified to the exact same thing. This witness was a security guard that knew nothing of this case, that didn't know Mr. Smollett, but recounted and corroborated his account of events. It's pretty disappointing what happened, but we remain confident that we're going to come back and he's going to be vindicated. Questions? Yes.
Jussie Smollett, he's still going to be his mother's son, but to come clean. What is your response to that?
Obviously, that's ridiculous. We remain confident, and on appeal, he's going to be cleared of all accusations on all charges. Again, I think everyone needs to focus on the fact that this is an inconsistent verdict. You cannot, everything stems from one incident. Jussie was not accused of doing two different things, and he was accused of doing one thing and charged multiple times for the same incident. A jury cannot come out and say guilty of lying, but not guilty of lying. It doesn't make sense. But again, we respect the judicial process. We respect the jury process. Well, we feel confident we'll be back here. There was so much doubt in this case, and doubt because he is absolutely 100% innocent. Any other question?
To be clear, you do plan to appeal the conviction?
Oh, 100%.
For those people who say this has gone on long enough,
Yes.
this has cost taxpayers too much, why keep going through this with an appeal? What do you say to that?
Well, obviously, easy for them to say. If you're being convicted of something that you did not do, why wouldn't you want to appeal? That's why we have appellate courts. But let's talk about that. This is a Class 4 felony case. They've spent millions of dollars prosecuting this case. I'm not saying that no case should be taken seriously, but they've spent millions of dollars. We had the first black female prosecutor elected into Cook County as a state's attorney, and she was second-guessed, Kim Fox. She made an executive decision, and she decided not to prosecute this case, and she was second-guessed, and someone was appointed to prosecute it. So the question has to be asked, why was so much money and resources spent re-prosecuting this case when we have thousands and thousands of people dying, hundreds of people dying in Chicago from gun violence? Why aren't resources being diverted to those situations? We have drug cases, people dying in the suburbs of drug overdose. Why aren't resources being focused on that? Why is everyone so focused on, Jussie Smollett allegedly called the police and made a false report, even though obviously we 100% stand firm, that he didn't do that. But the question has to be asked. It's not on Jussie it's not on anyone to say, Mr. Smollett, you shouldn't waste resources by pursuing this case any further. Of course he should, because that's his guilt and innocence on the line, and we believe he's innocent. But the question should be asked is, why are they spending resources focused on this type of a case? Next question, please.
Web work for free, so how are you aligning that to spend millions of dollars in resources?
I'm sorry, what did you say?
The Webb's office worked pro bono.
You see, I'm not going to comment on.
But you're saying they spent millions of dollars in prosecuting, in the prosecution here. And
Okay.
his officer pro- so I want to see
No, that's fine. Have you seen the invoice?
What?
Have you seen any
I've not
invoice?
seen the
for it?
invoice.
Okay, so you know, we all know. I mean, those that have been following this case, you're supposed to, you know, there are supposed to be filings for invoices. I haven't seen one yet. I'm sure there'll be one at some point in time. But this is based on the math we've done. We've talked that we came on this case in February. We're talking to the previous attorneys and the legal team. It's obvious a case like this. Look at all of you here. It didn't cost. It's not a situation where this costs $1 to prosecute. Next question.
What has Jussie told you since the verdict was read aloud?
You see, he's disappointed, but he remains confident. He's 100% confident that this will be reversed and appeal, and we remain confident. That's why we live in the #1 constitutional democracy. Regardless of what people are saying out there, people who are not lawyers, people who are not in court, people commenting and giving their ideas from 30,000, above sea level when they're not in court. At the end of the day, we believe justice will prevail. We don't believe it was done today, but we're very confident that he will be cleared and he will be found to be innocent.
Did Jussie tell you that he wants you to appeal the conviction? Did he ask you that after court today?
Obviously, I'm not going to discuss, attorney-client privilege with my client, but what I will tell you is, absolutely, we're planning on filing an appeal on this case.
Did you get a fair hearing in court?
I'm sorry?
Did you get a fair hearing in court?
I'm going to reserve my comments on that. Obviously, I plead the fifth. How about that? Next question.
Separate from the appeal, are you confident he'll get probation, no prison time?
Obviously, again, this is a class 4 felony. It's right above a misdemeanor. From my historical perspective, I used to be a prosecutor in this courthouse, and I think everybody here, we're all former prosecutors. I've never seen a case like this where a person got jail time. And he shouldn't, because he's innocent. Next question. Any other question?
Describe in the courtroom, when you were there.
Yes.
It was really contentious at times between you guys, the judge, both sides. What was the environment like over the course of this trial, and are you confident you got a fair trial?
I put it to you this way. It was a very unusual proceeding. I've handled homicide type cases. I have never felt this, gone through the emotional roller coaster we went through in this here. And I think that's the most diplomatic thing I would say. But I don't for 1 second believe that justice was done today, and that's my opinion. Okay?
He should have been, because it was a minor crime, the police shouldn't have investigated it so hard. I mean, it was a big deal in the city,
Well,
what he was saying about the city,
correct.
racism and stuff.
Correct. Well, I wouldn't say, obviously everyone wants police officers to investigate crime, right? I'm not going to stand here and say they shouldn't, but what you need to remember is this is an innocent man. And also, there was a lot that was said in court. The jury got to hear that no one has ever heard before. We have the case of a security officer who saw the exact same thing that Mr. Smollett saw. There's a lot of misstatements put out there. Mr. Smollett said he saw 2 MAGA hat wearing people run away. Well, we found out in court that that never happened. Mr. Smollett said that he saw someone with pale skin between a ski mask. Well, we found out in court that an independent witness confirmed what he said. And so, I hope and I'm confident in our appellate court that we'll get a fair result there.
On what basis? Why did you have the woman who claimed she saw the man running with the rope? Why did you have her testify?
I'm sorry?
The woman who claimed she saw a man running with the rope.
Yes.
Why did you have her testify?
A lot of stuff happened in this trial, and I'll just ask you to, Matt, you were in court every day. I watched some of your updates. I will ask you to go back and listen carefully to what some of the witnesses were saying, and that's what I'll put it in terms of, how some of them felt on the witness stand. I'll leave it to you that way.
Is there a reason Frank Gadsden didn't testify?
I mean, Frank Gadsden is his own person. You can only ask people to come to court. Sometimes you can't force them out of state. Well, we're not going to go into legal strategy at this time. Okay? No, he's not planning on speaking. Let's be real. Let's be human beings here. He's a human being. He's disappointed. But I will tell you this. I am very proud of him. I'm very, very proud of him. He's holding up very strong. He's committed to clearing his name, and he is 100% confident that he's going to get cleared by our appellate court. And I feel there's so many issues with this case. And for those reporters who've been following this case, nothing I'm saying here should be surprising. This case is seriously flawed from the initial inception. I mean, should a special prosecutor have been appointed? The answer is, from our perspective, absolutely not. You know, and so that's our position in this particular issue. Yes. 3 more questions, please.
Special Prosecutor Webb said Mr. Smollett would not have lost this case unless the jury thought he lied to them.
Yeah, well, let's put it this way. I'm not going to compare things, but historically, just because of a jury, just because a jury says gives a verdict doesn't mean it's the right one. You know, we respect the jury system, but that's why we have appeals. I mean, if we accepted everything a jury did, we wouldn't have an appellate court, would we now? Okay. 2 more questions.
In terms of who actually attacked him, on
Yes.
the stand, Jussie told Mr. Webb that he wasn't sure whether the brothers were the actual culprits. Who does he believe are the actual culprits? Are they still out there? Can you give some shape to that? That's one thing that Mr. Webb then used in his closing to suggest that he was lying.
Okay, so you know, this case, you have access to the transcripts. This case is, here's what I'll say on this issue. How is he supposed to know who attacked him? He's not a police department. He's not the Chicago Police. He's not the Chicago Detective Bureau, right? He's not supposed to know. They need to do, guys, when you look at the transcripts and you focus in on some of the detectives' testimony, you realize that a quality investigation was never carried out. That's our position. There was a lot of quantity to it, 3,000 hours of police manpower spent, but where was the quality? You had witnesses that were never interviewed. We had to bring in the security guard who corroborated everything Jussie said into court. Nobody brought him in. The prosecution team did not. And so you have to understand, unfortunately, we were facing an uphill battle where Jussie was already tried and convicted in the media, and then we had to somehow get the jury to forget or unsee all the news stories they had been hearing that were negative for the last 3 years. So that's difficult. So at the end of the day, you have access to multiple witnesses that you can go interview. My father was a professor of journalism. You can conduct your investigative journalism and go find his witnesses. Frank Gadsden, you mentioned him. Go find him. Go talk to him. The other 2, I don't want to mention their names for privacy reasons, but go talk to these people, right? Because Chicago Police, it's our position, should have investigated this case much more thoroughly. Okay? Last question, please.
What do you think the grounds for appeal are? Where do you think
We will be here for 10 hours if I start listing the grounds of appeal. We will be here for a long time, you know, and I'm not going to go through that now. I think I'll save that for my legal brief. Okay? Thank you so much, and God bless everyone. Happy Christmas. Merry Christmas. Right?